Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. I know it's been a while, but here's my latest video on oversampling actually. As always, if you have any questions about oversampling or anything in general relating to sound design or mixing, production, go ahead and just leave a comment or send me a message. I'll always do my best to answer everyone. So yeah, feel free to do that. And just as a review, I know in my previous videos I've gone over sample rates, and I think I've gone over sample rate conversion before. In this one, I'm going to delve into oversampling, which is kind of similar, and go back into sample rate conversion again. So yeah, here it is. To begin with, let's remember what sound is like in the real world. There are no samples usually. When you hear a bus going by, for instance, you're not hearing a series of samples, you're just hearing a continuous wave. And it would, if you were plotting it against this graph up here on top, it would just be kind of a smooth curve. It wouldn't have all these little steps that you see here. Well, your computer doesn't quite think like that. So if you record into your computer, it'll turn each of these different levels into samples to represent the sound. That's just how computers are. It needs to be one thing or another. It's a yes or a no. It's a 1 or a 0. There's no in-betweens. And that's how the computer basically represents sound as it's being input. So up here we got a somewhat lower sample rate. And down here we have a somewhat higher sample rate. You can see that the steps are a little bit closer to where the line would be in real life. And as I've said in my previous videos, the higher the sample rate, generally the higher the quality, the closer it sounds to how it would sound if it were outside of your computer, the sound. Now, what many plugins will do, many VSTs, soft synths will even do this, when they're processing the sound, they'll input the sound as the top graph up here. And then they'll use a sample rate converter, convert it to this down here, do the processing on it, whether it's some kind of compression, maybe a little distortion, maybe some EQ. And afterwards, it will run it through another sample rate converter, turn it back into this sample rate up here, and then finally output it into your DAW. And the reason why a lot of companies do that is for two main reasons. One, in some instances, it will serve as an anti-aliasing type of action. It'll prevent aliasing. But more importantly, and more of the reason I'm making this video, it will assist, sorry, it will make the output much closer to what you would hear in the real world or in an analog system, and it would be a much higher quality by oversampling when it's doing the processing. If you don't understand any of this, don't worry too much. Just remember that oversampling will generally give you a better quality output. Now, oversampling does come at a certain cost. The main cost is that it eats up more CPU. Now, the way to think of this is if you have a sample rate, typically a sample rate double that one would require 2 times the processing power. So if you have 44.1 kilohertz per second, if you convert it to, I don't know, 88,200, you'll be left with, it would require double the processing to process that sound. Now, a lot of plugins will give you the option to oversample, and some will even ask you how much you want to oversample. So for instance, this Big Tick Nasty Shaper here, which is a distortion plugin, it's a freeware one. It's not bad, it's free, so, you know, not bad for free. If you click oversample here, that's basically it. I'm not sure what sample it goes up to, but I assume it's either 2 times or 4 times oversampling. And that's kind of how that works. There's also plugins like the Fruity Love filter, as many of you guys probably have if you're FL Studio users, that actually give you the option to choose what sample rate you want to oversample at. So if you look down here, you'll see oversampling 2 times. So right now it's oversampling at 2 times. If you want to turn it off altogether, just go ahead and turn it like that until there's no digit there. If you want it to go to the max, just flick it up and you got it at 16 times, which is a lot of oversampling, but it does give you a little bit of a higher quality result. So that's basically oversampling at its most basic, and you'll notice that lots and lots of plugins will give you the option to oversample, and even more plugins, especially the really high quality ones, will actually oversample automatically underneath the hood. So what if you want to do your own oversampling? Say you're mastering a track and you want it to be the best possible quality that you can get it. You can oversample the track, so that means you can take the mix down at 44.1. You can upsample it up to whatever sample rate you want, let's say 48, and then master it, run it through your mastering chain, and then after you've mastered it, you can convert it back down to 44.1, and bam, that's how you'd oversample the entire process. The way you would do that is use a sample rate converter. Let's say we got the kickstarts here by example, and I got this off YouTube, that's why it says official video, and you can see, oh, I got the Fruity Love filter, and you can see that I upsampled to 48,000 hertz. So then if we want to downsample, we can do 2 methods. Both require programs, sample rate converters. One of the sample rate converters I'm going to show you is actually built into Edison. It's very easy, and it's actually a really high quality one. You go to options here, or the format, sorry. Go to edit properties, and right here it'll tell you the current sample rate, and then click resample, and then click set, and then whatever sample rate you want to go to, it will convert it to. Right, so you're going from 48,000 to 44.1, and then we're going to hit accept. And if you watch up here, it says resampling to 44.1, and voila, it's now at 44.1 kilohertz. So that's one way to do it. Another way is use RateBrain, which is a third-party plugin by Voxengo. It's probably the best quality one you could get for free out there. I absolutely love it. This right here will tell you the original sample rate. Here is the sample rate we want to go to. It'll allow you to choose different bit depths, including floating bit depths. We're just going to stick with a fixed bit 16. Then we're going to do very high quality. The quality basically dictates the size of the output file as well as the time it takes to output it. Obviously it's a higher quality if you do very high. And then finally, this is the sample rate we want to go to. So we're going to hit perform. It's going to process it for about 15 seconds. If that, probably 10 seconds. Bam. And then wherever I have the output wave file sent to, that's where I can find the output, and it should be downsampled to 44.1. So say I mastered this and it was at 48,000, then I could take that 48,000 and then downsample it to 44.1, and I've successfully oversampled. So that's oversampling in a nutshell. If you have any questions, again, feel free to leave me any comments, send me any messages. I'll be able to answer them gladly for you. And then if you guys have any time at all, I'd really appreciate it. Go onto SoundCloud, click follow my SoundCloud, I'd appreciate it. And then also check out my other YouTube channel, You Know Music, it's a YouTube channel. Subscribe or just leave a comment, like, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'd appreciate that. So thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys soon with more tutorials. Yeah, bye.